Right now, as a member of the Senate Subcommittee on Aviation and Space, Senator Shelley Moore Capito, and it is great to see you, Senator.
Good morning. Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here. Your reaction to what took place in Boeing. Now we're actually hearing the CEO take responsibility for this. What happens now?
Well, I think we need to find out why these planes were still flying with these anomalies, a very deadly anomaly in the technical space, the computer space of the plane. We had a hearing just last week with FAA to question them as to why the planes flew a little bit longer. The American planes flew a little bit longer than some all around the world. I think there's a lot to look at here. And the training space, is there a different training for African or European pilots than there are for American pilots?
Oh, wow.
I just think that there's just still a lot of unanswered questions.
And, I mean, given the fact that he is now taking responsibility for this, you would expect lawsuits are going to just flood into Boeing.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine so, yes.
We'll watch that, and we'll certainly watch the stock performance this morning as well. Meanwhile, the president is headed to the southern border later this morning. The president urging Mexico to enforce its immigration laws or face potential economic penalties. Here's what the president said yesterday. I'd love to get your reaction.
They have the strongest immigration laws, as strong as there is anywhere in the world. They can do it if they want to do it. They've never really wanted to do it for many, many years. And we've told them, if you don't do that, we're going to close the border. But before we close the border, we'll put the tariffs on the cars. I don't think we'll ever have to close the border because the penalty of tariffs on cars coming into the United States from Mexico at 25% will be massive.
You know, the president using whatever levers he can to get Mexico to move. You are chairing a hearing on Thursday with the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen regarding the Homeland Security's 2020 budget. Talk to us about that. First, your reaction to what's taking place at the border right now.
Well, let's look at the March numbers. The president's going to release these today. Over 100,000 people just in the March month. 53% of these are families. 9,000 of these are unaccompanied minors. These numbers are staggering, and they're growing exponentially every month. In February, it was in the 70,000s. So, you know, we got a real problem, a serious problem here, and we need Mexico's help. We need the other countries to help cooperate because we're not able to stop it where we are. 93,000 of those that came over last month came over away from the ports of entry, so they're coming in areas in Texas and California that have no barriers.
Anybody who goes to the border can attest to the fact that this is actually a crisis.
Right.
And it is getting worse. Your colleagues on the left, what are you hearing from them when they're actually seeing the picture? I mean, is it that they just do not want to admit that the president is correct on this issue? I
think they don't want to admit that the president is correct. I think that the numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can tell that the coyotes and cartels that are encouraging this on the other side see how vulnerable we are in terms of the discussion they hear us have in the Senate, but also just the amount of families that are coming. We've got immigration loopholes that we've got to close, and we're not getting much cooperation.
And I know people have figured out that if you're a family, you're getting treated better. They won't separate you, and
they can only hold you for 20 days.
They can only hold you for 20 days, so everyone's a family.
Right.
And it's not necessarily true. Let me ask you this before you go. How do you balance, and how should the president balance, trying to hold Mexico's feet to the fire in terms of doing something to aid this problem, but at the same time trying to get this USMCA confirmed? I mean, a lot of Democrats have come on this program and said, I'm not going to sign for that. I'm not going to vote for this as it is. What's your take on where USMCA goes?
Well, I think he's got to get it up in front of the Congress because I think the uncertainty that we have right now with not having it fully confirmed and fully discussed in Congress is leaving a gap, a question. I personally will support this. I think that the president, when he campaigned, said he was going to rework NAFTA. He did, and he has.
Are there areas that you think could be improved to placate or to, you know, agree with some of your colleagues on the left?
You know, obviously cars is a big issue. We hear a lot from the automakers because of so much of the production is south of our border. We also have a lot of trade in the automobile space with Canada.
But he's talking about putting a 25% tax.
Yeah, that troubles me because I think, you know, we're at sort of a tenuous part here with the USMCA, and I think we need to get it across the finish line.
All right, Senator, it's great to have you on the program.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for joining us. Senator Shelley Moore Capito there.